White Jesus here again to save y'all. No, this isn't white Jesus coming to save anybody.
Cartoon character of a wealthy person.
This is a teacher coming to educate. Maybe if you were about your business, Marshy, you would be on your own grind. Sit down in your place, son, and learn. Learn from a man who has done something that you've not been able to do. Hello, Knockouts. Tanya TKO here, and I am a self-love specialist from TanyaTKO.com. I hope you learn how to love yourselves and one another. I am a certified life coach. I am a certified clinical hypnotherapist, and I have a specialty in relationship coaching. I am deemed by Fox and NBC a relationship expert. And so I am here to assist you all and also assist one of my YouTube sisters, because when I looked at the video last, I saw that everybody had not seen the video. And there are still men who are commenting on my posts and commenting on the follow-up videos that I did. Like, no, that's not what a six-figure man wants. Meanwhile, listen, quiet is kept. The Census Bureau shows that the average Black man in America is making $23,000. Now that averages out from the wealthy to the extremely poor. And so there are a lot of people who are talking about things that they don't know and don't understand and don't have access to themselves. And they are making up this fantasy inside of their minds about what is what. And a lot of them, they don't know what they're talking about, and they're misleading people who are impressionable, in dire need of validation and information. And what I want you all to do is I want you all to share this video. Allow people, so like anybody that you see cracking jokes or saying what it is that they think that they know, I want you to share this video, not this video in particular. I put the link to the Pink Pills video inside of the description of this one. So what I want you to do is I want you to watch her full video. We're going to dive into bits and pieces of it that I feel that you need to hear so that you can get a sense for how a seven-figure man feels, because there's a person who has come out by the name of Kevin Kitten Heel Samuels, and he is purporting what a high-value man looks for and is like. And men who are wealthy, they don't use terms like high value man. These are catchphrases and terms that are coined on the internet for people who are trying to get clicks and making money off of the unsuspecting people who, instead of really upping their own self-love, they want to try to beat the self-love out of another person, beat you down to their level so that they could be like, oh, now I have access to you. Because the issue isn't that they feel that the women are expensive. The issue is that they feel that they can't afford them. So they want to beat the women down to their level and then be like, now I have access. Now I could poke in and out, fill you up of my spawn, have you squirt my spawn out into the world, and then have you do all of the investment in my spawn. I am detached in my funk and downtrodden demeanor, and then come back and blame you onto how the spawn turned out. Meanwhile, this person made the decision not to be there to craft the upbringing of their own spawn. So yeah, so there are a lot of people, look, how you do anything is how you do everything. And when people come to a person like Kevin Kitten Heel Samuels and they're looking for direction, they have to realize that when you come to a toxic source, it's like you don't get fresh drinking water from a toxic cesspool. You don't. There may be water there, but the water that you may ingest can be poisonous to your body. So you have to use your own discernment. You have to branch out. There are many of us who don't have access. Like that young lady said, she didn't have access to men who made six figures. And when I did my video, look, I was a little more raw in my video, because I went off, because I realized that we have a bunch of conquered men out there leading other conquered men, and nobody really know what in the hell they're talking about. And then I came up with this statement: in the land of the dickless, the one testicled man is king. Do I need to say that again for you all? In the land of the dickless, the unitesticled man is king. And so we have a bunch of conquered men who are rolling around with one another, spouting off things that they don't know about, and they are the biggest amongst the bums, the king of bums. He's a king of bums. So I have a video on my channel where Kevin Samuels was exposed for being a fraud. So check that video out. We are going to jump right now into Crystalline's video. And I implore you, please listen, support the creators who support you. I heard that Kevin Samuels' subscribership went up by 200,000 people over the past week after he went viral for lambasting that girl. I did a video yesterday where there was another Black man who came out attacking me because I made a video about those white girls who were saying those horrible things about Black men in the comment section. So instead of being angry at white women, instead of being angry at white men, instead of being angry at other Black men, he's come out to try to kick Black women in the uterus and try to stomp us down, etc. And so there are a lot of men out there who think that you're an easy mark. They think that you're an easy target, and they support just vile content. So I'm telling you, support the content that supports you. Support Black female content creators, support Black content creators, support content creators who make the type of content that make you feel full on the inside. Okay? Look, that's all I'm going to say on that, okay? Happy holidays, everybody. Let's jump into the video. Let's jump in. I'm going to be jumping around in the video because I want you to watch the full video. I'm not playing the full one here. I'm just going to play bits and pieces so that you can get a sense for where this man is coming from. And like I said, support her video. The link is in the description. If she's around and there's something that she wants to add when we get closer to the end of this broadcast, I invite her to come on and speak a few words on. I heard some things about the way Black women have been reacting to it that just I find very troubling and hard to believe. But after I did that video with the Asian man who was telling Black women to know their worth and the way that Black women were behaving, I kind of disheartenedly got the idea that maybe some of the stuff that she said was true. Like Black women are rejecting praise and upliftment from it just I just don't, I don't even want to I'm afraid. I don't even want to say it out loud. I'm sorry. I find it hard to believe that we would be so self-sabotaging, that we would stop the adoration from other people because they're not Black, or they're not a Black man, or it's like one-sided loyalty is for suckers. That's a term Brooklyn Blue coined a few years ago. One-sided loyalty is for suckers. It's like, how long do we sit here being loyal to people who are not loyal to us? On Paris Milan's channel, she talked about Melanesia and how when the white people came over, the men of that country, they were brown-skinned people. They abandoned the women for white women, and the women there were like, oh no, the hell you didn't. And they said, to hell with that. They leveled up to the white man, left the men there in their sacrifice and squalor, and moved the hell on. But here we are still fighting. We're on the front lines. We're still giving our allegiance, and it's disheartening. It's disheartening. All right, so let's jump into this. This is a video that I'm really looking forward to sharing with you all, and I want to hear your thoughts. I will be looking through the comments as we play this. So let's jump right in. So at 21:15, he describes what a high-value male is. I want you to hear his descriptions.
What do you define as a high-value man?
I mean, this is going to be a little bit of a flexible definition, but to be honest, somebody who has principles that they adhere to that are actually transparent, and they can be good or they can be bad, I suppose, right? You know, there are guys that I worked with when I was a Wall Street attorney that were like, money is the most important thing, power is the most important thing, but they didn't necessarily mistreat people and they didn't lie to people, and I thought that was admirable, even though I disagreed with their values. I really didn't think money and power were important, you know? But there are a lot of people that mislead others or are guided entirely by their insecurities. And that's the video that I'm sure you're going to talk about in a second, where, you know, you see people that are just projecting their baggage onto other people and making them feel bad because they don't really have transparent principles. They don't really have values. Like, I guarantee you, if we ask the guy in the video if he has principles, values, whatever, he will say yes, but he would not necessarily be able to articulate those, or he'd give us some boilerplate garbage. So a high value man has values that and goals that they go after and achieve, but they're transparent about them. You know, they might say something like, I want to get married and I want to have kids and I want to build a career, but my family comes first. And then they act in accordance with those values. They don't go around cheating all the time. They don't work 7 days a week and never see their kids because their career is more important. They don't end up, taking stupid risks to make more money and put their family at risk. You have people that adhere to their values, and people slip up from time to time. I'll give them that. But, you have a high value guy as somebody that goes after what they want and is transparent about it, isn't rude about it, doesn't push their insecurities off on other people, and is willing to, in many cases or most cases, is looking for a partner, that is going to be on the same page. I know a lot of guys that they look high value, they're wealthy, they're doing well in their business, but their personal life is a mess. That detracts seriously from somebody's value as a partner, and you might take different types of value inside a relationship and both in your career. So a high value man, I assume what you're asking, is somebody who has both their career and their personal life together, right? They're not a workaholic with no friends. They're not somebody who's divorced twice and has an estranged family, never sees two kids that that are 13 now. They had when they last saw them when they were 2, right? Like, they're not that person, but they wear a suit, so they're high value. No, that's not what that means, right? So and I know that's kind of where you're going with,
right.
with
Oh
this,
my
with the
God,
video
the
you sent.
shade just.
So you heard him give the definition right there. So he talked about a man whose values are in line with what it is that he's saying, a higher vibrating man, a man who is more than just throwing on a suit and thinking that you're some high value man, but you're nasty and you're toxic and your life is a mess. And like Kevin Kitten Heels Samuels, it said that he's divorced twice, that his children don't respect him. I've heard a lot of different things. Like, don't quote me on the children part, because I've heard different people saying different things. I'm not in his life, so I don't know. I've only known the toxicity that I had seen publicly, and also I've heard that he's twice divorced, that he can't keep a woman. Regardless of all of this stuff that he's saying, that women run from him in his personal life. In the next part, he talks about how he feels about this woman's looks, because Kevin Kitten Heel Samuels was attacking her looks, saying that she wasn't pretty enough. And let's hear from a millionaire, because one of the brilliant things that Crystalline did is that she one-upped these men. He's talking about 6 figures. She came and she brought another digit on there, 7 figures. She brought a man who out-earns him, even according to what it is that he's claiming that he's bringing in, even though there's no evidence of that. And you'll see in that Kevin Samuels video Exposed, you'll see it in that. So you remember the young lady, she came out with her cute little shirt on. She said she was a size 3, and the guy just attacked her. I wonder if they're going to play it in here. They may play it.
Yeah. Hood site.
So
I'm like, what?
What is your
No.
advice?
Okay,
for,
so she comes to him for advice.
that-
Right.
I'll
Remember-
tell you my advice, man, because you're not listening to me. This is why I always recommend you need therapy. Because you seem like a sweet woman, but you're not getting it.
You're being so mean.
I'm not being. Don't tell me I'm being mean. I'm about to be mean. I get tired of you broads telling me I'm being mean because you cannot handle the goddamn truth. You called my show on a day that you ain't even supposed to be here, and I honored the call and sat here and tried to help you. And I'm telling me I'm being mean. Get the fuck out of my phone.
Oh, Lord of mercy. Every time I hear that, I'm triggered by abuse. I don't like abusiveness. I don't like abusive men. It triggers me. It triggers me. And when I see that every time, it just makes me cringe, because it makes me want to just start boxing. I was raised in a house with a man who was a boxer. So for those of you who don't know, and as a matter of fact, I want to do a video with my dad for you all. So let's jump up to the 26-minute mark so that we can get to what this millionaire thinks of her looks.
What did you think of the woman? You saw the whole clip. What did you?
Yeah. What did I think from what do you mean? From what perspective? What do I think of her?
From an aesthetic standpoint? You know, he said that she's average at best.
Yeah, I would
with
disagree
style.
with that. I would disagree with that. I think that the first thing I noticed was that she was attractive. So I think earlier in the video, he said she's like a 5 or something like that. I
Yeah.
don't think that's even remotely close. I don't put, I'm decades past putting women on a number scale, but if you're going to force me into it, she's definitely not a 5. That's an attractive woman. Unless there's something I'm not seeing below, but from a face perspective, like she's very attractive and she's well dressed and she speaks in complete sentences. I mean, come on, a 5 is somebody that is like undesirable, period. Right. And he says that kind of thing to her to make her feel bad and to put her in her place, as he probably, thinks he's doing. So
listen, I want you to hear this part because he talks about why this man is speaking that way. It's not to help her. It's to what, and some of you have kind of picked up on it in the comments. I posted a few of your comments a few seconds ago, but listen, it's to put her in her place. Listen.
Oh, that initially was what struck me as just kind of horrifying in a way and rude and unnecessary. It's weird because he couches his advice, and I'm going off on a tangent, so feel free to stop me, but he couches his advice in like he goes, you need to go to therapy. And I'm like, oh, good. He's recommending therapy. And then he's like, because you broads this and that. And I'm like, oh, okay, you just discredited yourself.
Exactly.
I'm a big fan of therapy. I think people should do it when they have actual problems to handle. But her problem isn't I have a delusional opinion of myself that's unwarranted. Her problem is she listens to guys like that. I think that's like a bigger problem. I don't really get what this guy's deal is, but when I learned more about him from you, I was like, okay, this is like an unhealthy guy who's had unhealthy relationships, who isn't high value, not standing up for his own values. Why is he divorced 2 times? Why does he not have a healthy relationship? And if you're giving advice, I did talk radio for a long time with Dr. Drew and Adam Carolla and doing Loveline and shows like that. If someone makes you mad on a call, you don't have this weird emotional reaction where you're like, wah, get off of my phone. I'm going to curse at you. Why would you do that? Are you a child?
Yeah.
Are you a child? My kid gets angry when I take away his toys. Is that what you, as a 51-year-old man or whatever, is that what you were supposed to act like? Would you want your kids to act like that? I wouldn't even want my kid to act like that. So
okay. So you hear that, right? You hear it. So he's talking about this man's temperament and how this man behaves and what he thinks of this woman's looks and how she's an attractive woman. I mean, she's more than average. It's like those statements were said to put her in her place. And then listen, there's something important that I want you to hear. Let's scrub through where he talks about how this woman was defenseless. She was defenseless.
To somebody who isn't really doing anything. She didn't call up and insult him or anything like that. She just, quote unquote, isn't listening to his advice. She's defending herself in a way, not even, barely defending herself. And he thinks that that's somehow offensive because she's not fully submitting to what he says and saying, oh, you're so smart.
You hear that, right? She's not fully submitting to him. So he wanted her to call in, submit to his will and power and word. And somebody asked in the comment section, oh, and there's so many comments coming through. There's almost 800 of us in here. Go ahead and thumbs up the video and leave your comments. I am able to see your comments now because we are live. And somebody asked, who certified him? I'm looking for that comment. Here it is. Mel says, who certified Kevin to give dating advice? This is what happens far too often in our communities. And I had to ask that guy, the one that I did the video with, because one of the things that Crystalline did that was really important, and I want you to go watch her full video of this, right? Link is in the description. One of the things that she did that really, I had an epiphany when she did it. And this is why in the beginning of my videos, now I announce myself with my own certifications. Because before I would just say, oh, I'm a self-love specialist from tinytko.com. No, I'm more than that. I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist. I'm a certified life coach with a specialty in relationship coaching. I've taken the time to invest years into crafting my talking points, into crafting my knowledge and my education. And I'm also applying to an Ivy League school right now to get my master's in psychology, because I want to be able to be and do and be of service to you all. Do no harm. That is the first principle in the medical field, the first unofficial official principle in the medical field. First, do no harm. And there's so many people out there who are doing harm because they just don't know. Like, I did a video with Mr. Let Go after this whole thing had blown up, right? And in the video, Mr. Let Go was talking about wigs. Remember, I put my wig on and was dancing like Tina Turner. And Mr. Let Go was talking about Black women in wigs and just repeating other things that he's heard on like Red Pill channels or wherever he's heard the stuff, because we are a conglomeration of the things that we have learned. But if you're learning from unverified sources, what is it that you're really learning, right? And I had to do a survey with his audience, and I'm like, Black women, how many women in here, how many of your fathers have made negative statements about your natural hair? And during the broadcast, he's like, oh my God, I just had an epiphany. Oh, I didn't realize. Son, you over here talking to Black women about why they're wearing wigs and you don't even understand the history of it. You don't understand. It's like, you are only as good as the research that you have done, or rather your information is only as good as the research that you've done. And you're up here attempting to counsel Black women, and you don't know the history of how, when Black women tried to wear their hair natural in this country, that it became illegal. And so it was illegal because our hairstyles were so elaborate and men were just like fawning over our hairstyles, and the white women didn't like that. This is why a lot of you out there who believe that every white woman is your ally, and then you see after the voting numbers come out that they really weren't. White women were instrumental in your enslavement and the keeping of you enslaved and your subjugation. Instrumental. And they, after the fact, they fan themselves and they're like, oh, I do declare I was under the white man's rule as well. I didn't know. Oh, there was nothing that could have been done. Right, but they were up there using you as their wet nurses so that their children can get that good, juicy milk with all that vitamin D in it from you. And they were using you to be their maids and servants. And now that you're not their maid and servant anymore, they don't even see you as they're passing by the street. They just try to barrel through you. They reach over your children in the stores, elbowing them. They don't step off the side, out of the way when you're walking past. They just try to knock you down. And it's like, you realize that these women, that there's a lot more going on. So it's like, we're living in this world where we are not really fully diving in, and we're going out and we're giving our opinion. And this man, and he wasn't even of the awareness that from the time that a Black girl is little, that her hair, that she's lambasted about her hair, that it has been going on for centuries. So after the natural hairstyles became illegal, Black women started wrapping their hair. And guess what? The wraps were elaborate. I mean, you know how Black people do. The wraps were elaborate and beautiful and colorful, and they were just exquisite and extraordinary. And then they had a problem with that. And so it's like we have been, how we got here is important. How much research the people that you're following, and how much research, how true is the information? How verified is the information that the people you're watching is giving you? This is why I ask people, send your links, send your sources, because a lot of people say a lot of different things. Let's continue to go forward in this video.
Genius. I mean, why is he having an emotional reaction? That's not a high value man thing to do. You know, if a kid walks up to me and says, you're fat, I don't throw a temper tantrum and get all mad at them. Right. And this woman did half of that, and he boots her off the call and starts swearing at her. Like, he's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous reaction. And so all I see is a guy looking at a woman who's above average looking, in my opinion. This guy's putting his own preferences onto her. Oh, you know, you're at best average looking. Okay, according to who? You're lit by a candle because you don't want people to see your face. Why am I supposed to take you seriously right now? And
I'm sorry. Isn't that what I said in my video? Didn't I say that? He's sitting there in the lurches. in a darkened room with a candle, with one little candle light there, and he's in the shadows obscuring his signs of aging, talking about 20-year-olds are beating down his door with a stick. Listen, we were all 20. We know what we thought of a man who was 30 years older. This is grandpa age. Come on now. Let's continue.
Like, come on, man. I didn't like that at all. And I don't know this guy, so I'm dragging him a little bit, but I didn't like based on what I saw in this video, I didn't like that at all. And I know tons of guys that would share the opinion that she is attractive. The fact that he is saying, oh no, by any definition, you are average at best, that is ridiculous. Whenever you paint people with a broad stroke, that it's ridiculous. When you say white people are nerds or black people steal, you're just doing that. And that's what he's doing to her. And nobody would allow us to talk like that about black people, white people. So why would she then take that as credible advice? Why would anybody take that from him as credible advice? He's painting everybody with a broad stroke. It's ridiculous. And he's putting his own preferences onto an entire audience of strangers on the internet. Do you lack the emotional intelligence to realize that different people like different things? Is that really, you don't understand?
And that's the thing. That's the thing. Different people like different things. So he's trying to say that at 35, she's too old for a man who makes six figures. So in his mind, in Kevin Kittenhill Samuel's mind, he thinks that every six-figure person or a millionaire is 25, a 25, 30-year-old man who's looking for a 25-year-old woman. No, some men who are millionaires are 60 years old. You think a 60-year-old wants a 20-year-old child? You think a person who is 40, even a well-adjusted 40-year-old knows that him or her and a 20-year-old just mentally and not in the same space, emotionally, psychologically, just not in the same space. I mean, those of us who have grown know, we know what's on a 20-year-old. 20-year-old is listening to Megan Thee Stallion right now. Listen, a 20-year-old is just coming out of high school. Seriously, a 20-year-old is just finding their way in this world. And you think that a person who is 50, 60, who already has a child wants to be running around playing these 20-year-old South Beach games, just running up and down the place, doing what it is that you did 30 years ago. I mean, it's like there are people who are maladjusted, right? And in their maladjustment, I wanted to focus on this person's comment in a second. And in their maladjustment, they don't have a clear, healthy understanding of how to navigate in life. Like a person who thinks that all six-figure persons or all millionaires are child-free or don't mind a blended family. And it's like, it's a whole different world when you start looking at real life. And then so here's a person by the name of Marshawn Holmes who says, "White Jesus here again to save y'all. SMH," right? And what's the matter, Marshy? What's wrong? Are you afraid that your supply is being taken away? Are you afraid that in comparison, that when you hold both men up pound for pound, worth for worth, that Black men in this country really just don't stand a chance when put up against the white male buying and spending power? What we have is a millionaire here to school you. Why don't you, if you are a millionaire and you are here, you're going to come and quote unquote save people, why don't you schedule a broadcast so that you can come forward and give your millionaire knowledge? Like I was saying earlier, one of the great things that Crystalline did in the beginning of that video is she qualified her guest. What qualifies her guest to speak on this topic? And I don't think that we hold up enough Black men to this standard. What qualifies you, sir, to give this advice? Besides waking up one day, seeing two curly hairs on your chest, feeling your testicles swinging down low, and deciding, oh, in all my masculine glory, I am man. Now I have the dominion because I got two swinging balls. Those balls are what educate me. I mean, if you ask a man, far too many of these men are giving relationship advice that comes from their testicular sac. And they're trying to advise you on what it is that they themselves would like, on how they themselves navigate. And they don't really qualify what type of life they're even really living. But when you see the women begin to divorce them and their children running away from them and their children who don't know them and their children coming up into public and lambasting them, then you see that what's going on behind the scenes is much different than the foolishness that they're purporting in public. Let's go forward. Talking about the dating habits of wealthy men and what wealthy men are really, really out there looking for. So let's hear from a wealthy man himself. No, this isn't white Jesus coming to save anybody. This is a teacher coming to educate. And maybe if you were about your business, Marshy, you would be on your own grind and you would either be educating or being under the tutelage. So listen, sit down in your place, son, and learn from a man who has done something that you've not been able to do.
Your circle and what they would have thought of a woman like that.
Yeah, I know so many guys as I build my own business and level of socioeconomic success, whatever you want to call it. The more guys I meet, the more the idea that wealthy guys only date models or whatever gets shattered. And we don't even really need to look inside behind the curtain on, my life to see this. Like Mark Zuckerberg married Priscilla Chan, who is his Asian girlfriend from Harvard, who's a doctor. Okay. He didn't marry a Victoria's Secret cover girl, whatever. Right. And like a lot of these founders, when I meet their significant other, it's just a normal person. It's not a supermodel. It's not anything where you would go like, oh, that's what billionaires marry. That's what multimillionaires marry. Well, that makes sense. A lot of my friends, when we go to these meetups or these conferences and things like that, they bring their wives and they're completely normal people, or these wives bring their husbands. And I go, yeah, that guy just looks like every other dad. Every other scoutmaster that I had in Boy Scouts growing up looks like this guy, polo tucked in, like people really generally kind of look the same, because at a certain point, and especially intelligent people who are high earners, not that those two things are always the same. Celebrities, case in point, people that are not necessarily the geniuses that earn a lot of money. And there's a lot of people that are very smart that earn average income. But the higher earners that are thinking about problems in their life and looking at things with a complicated, nuanced eye, they're looking and they're going, do I want to marry somebody that I'm going to be happy with long term? Or do I want to marry somebody and give them half my stuff that's going to be hot for 10, maybe 20 years, is obsessed with attention because they're an Instagram model or something like that? Is that the kind of person I want to be my number one person who's also going to raise my offspring? No, that is not what I want. I want a normal person who was raised like me, more or less, that has similar values. And it almost, I won't say it doesn't matter what they look like, but it kind of doesn't really make that big of a difference. A lot of my friends, their wives had a few kids and the bodies change, they're taking care of 2-3 babies. They don't have time to go to the gym for 3 hours a day, every day. They can't do their career anymore because they're raising kids. They don't go, ugh. When we talk in these mastermind groups where we're very sharing private stuff, nobody says, oh man, I'm not really attracted to my wife anymore. They say things like, we don't have time to have sex anymore. They don't say, I'm looking for a Victoria's Secret chick from Instagram. Those are not what wealthy guys are generally looking for. It's something that we see in media, and it's something we see in Hollywood. We see like Harvey Weinstein types and directors going after young starlets, but that is not what normal high earning men do. And when I was a lawyer, every single person around me who didn't work in like the HR department of the law firm made multiple six figures. Every single attorney, there were paralegals there making close to six figures. These are high earning folks, right? Every single person that I came in contact with at that law firm made good money. None of those guys were looking for models that had, these types of physical characteristics. And we were in our early 30s. We were looking for normal women that we could trust. That was really the prime thing.
Exactly. You heard that? They were looking for normal women that they could trust. And so this is the thing, because the difference between a person who has a lot of money and a person who don't is just that the person who has a lot of money has a lot of money. you're still a person. You're still whoever it is that went to PS whatever elementary school. You're still whoever who grew up on whatever. You know what I'm saying? You're still a person. You're still all of those things that created who it is that you are. But it's just like many people who are on these fasts where they fast and abstain from a thing that they have no access to, or it's even worse if you fast and you have no access to that of what it is that you want. So you've been relegated away from this thing. The moment that you have access to it, you just go ham. You go crazy. You binge out. And so it's like conquered men who have had no access to money. Then all of a sudden they get two little nickels to rub together. And when they get those two nickels to rub together, what do? They start wilding out and they're like, oh, I'm going to turn into this thing, this caricature, and fit into these stereotypes that you see in rap videos, soap operas, and reality TV. And then you mimic because you don't really know. And so this man, Kitten Heels, he's pantomiming what he thinks a wealthy man is like. And he's purporting these falsehoods, these narratives, and these stereotypes that just aren't true. We're going to jump forward into a part of the video where he gives his point of view about how he feels about a Black person speaking about other Black people like this and how people listening to this stuff.
Trash because you have a son who's a teenager. I mean, she doesn't have two babies by two random guys that she can't find that are 2 years old that she needs to take care of and is on welfare or something like that. Like this sort of stereotype that this guy seems to be propagating about people of his own ethnicity, which is super unhealthy, but we'll get there in a second. She's got a teenage son. Like, you can date somebody like that. That kid can stay home alone and order a pizza and play Xbox, and you can go out on a date and you can come back and he can talk to you like a normal person.
Yeah.
You know, she's not pinned down with this guy. So that made me feel even more kind of cringy and sad for this situation, because there are a lot of people that are divorced and there are a lot of people that have kids, and those people are not to be disposed of. There's a lot of guys I know that are divorced and have kids, and they're like, oh man, I got to go date again. Who am I going to date? And the answer is people like that who own a successful business and have a kid of their.
See, didn't I just tell you this? Didn't I just tell you this? I just told you this. I just told you this. Every person who is wealthy is not some 29-year-old man living at the prime of his young life in LA, in Tinseltown. Oh, I forgot I had my antlers on. Attempting to be out on the prowl. Some people are divorced themselves. There are many different, it's like men with money are not a monolith. There are attractive men with money. There are unattractive men with money. There are overweight men with money. There are underweight men with money. There are muscular men with money. There are disabled men with money. There are divorced men with money. There are young men with money. There are older men with money. There are superficial men with money. There are mean men with money. There are nice men with money. There are honorable men with money. It's like money really only amplifies what already exists. So it's like, let's wisen up. But you see, it's like people have a vested interest in trying to believe these narratives because it helps keep them having unfettered access to your womb.
Their own, that understand that getting divorced happens and you still have kids, and it doesn't mean that you're that you are now trash or that you are now off the market. And I think it's especially rich coming from a guy who's been divorced twice and is in his 50s.
Hold on, I want to get to that. I think we passed the part. Well, he was talking about people of his own ethnicity.
Stereotype that this guy seems to be propagating about people of his own ethnicity, which is super unhealthy.
Yeah, you see that? Super unhealthy, he says.
But
yes.
We'll get there in a.
Yeah, so it's like, come on. It's like other people of other races are seeing you, Black men. They're seeing how you're behaving, and it's not respectable behavior. Other men are not inspired to respect you when they see that you are disrespecting women, that you are lambasting and attempting to make women downtrodden and trying to trample on them beneath your feet.
Learn that, you know, her place. I'm like, bro, project much?
All
this
right.
is your shit. you're dealing
Yeah, so he's talking about how this man is projecting his own
or that you
insecurities
are now
onto
off
her.
the market. And I think it's especially rich coming from a guy who's been divorced twice and is in his 50s to tell somebody else who's been, has one kid that they can't date anymore. And that he's beating young women off with a stick and that she needs to learn that, her place. I'm like, bro, project much? This is your shit you're dealing with.
We're almost at the end of it. We have 3 more parts that I want you to see where he talks about the meanness of it. And then there was somebody who said that this guy is a pickup artist. He's going to address that at 3809. Is there are a lot of men who attempt to get into this dating relationship world. And far too many men don't really want to hear healthy dating advice. They want to hear how to quote unquote bang a bunch of hot chicks in one night without committing anything. And a lot of the dating advice, so like you see women are trying to learn how to be in healthy relationships, trying to learn how to be good women, how to show up for their men, how to be what men like, how to keep a man. But men are teaching each other how to discard you, how to dispose of you, how you're not really worthy of commitment, and how he's a fool if he gives you commitment. And so a lot of the dating advice that men receive is toxic dating advice. And he addresses how he first came out giving dating advice, and then the field became overrun with pickup artists. So we're going to get to that. But first, we're going to look into the part of the video where he addresses this guy's just nastiness towards women.
The shade, the shade, the shade.
I'm mad about it because I think it's mean, and he's doing it to make himself feel better, and because he's placating to the audience. He knows that 90% of the guys that are watching that are like 18 years old and insecure, so that makes them feel good. Like, oh, if he's putting her in her place, that means I can get a woman like that. That's what they are thinking. They're not thinking, yeah, she's trash. The other part of the audience is like this sort of incel guy who could never in a million years get a woman that looks like that. And they like watching her get taken down a peg by a guy that they think is a badass that they admire. That's it. This is like, it's like a jealousy thing or like an envy thing. They want to feel like they're elevating themselves by taking someone down a peg. If he really wanted to help her, he wouldn't have given her advice like that. He would have actually done something to help her. He would not have taken it down that road. He did that to make his audience feel powerful. That had nothing to do with her. Had everything to do with him, had everything to do with the audience.
And you have a special knowledge of this. You know what you're talking about because you kind of were in that space and saw where it was going. So let's dive into the mind of men like this, because you know them intimately.
Yeah. I used to be in the space that was like the dating coach space that turned into the pickup artist space, and it's cringy. And there are a lot of guys there that really did want to help other guys, myself included. And I would say even the majority of some of the guys who got into the pickup artist thing were really like, I just want to get the clients we saw in my old company and that I still have emailing me at the Jordan Harbinger show. They're like, I want to meet a quality woman and get married and have kids, and I'm shy, or I don't know if I can do it because I've never been good with women, whatever that means. Usually it just means like they're too afraid to start a conversation and they're an engineer and it's not their specialty to be outgoing and charismatic. Okay. It's forgivable. Very few, and I would say like 20%, maybe that's not very few, 10 to 20% turn out like this guy, where they're like, the best thing to do is just get really angry at people and show my anger and my traumatic emotional wounds by taking it out on women. That's why you see these quote unquote methods where these guys are like, yeah, you just walk up and you're like, girl, I want to fuck you. You've seen those methods, right? From those guys that are like these self-published books, and it's like 4 steps to like getting laid every night. And it's like, go out and just tell everything that will listen to you for 5 seconds that you want to bang. And I'm like, these guys are just damaged. They're not really trying to build relationships with women. And so a lot of the guys that are watching videos like that, who are young and impressionable, that's what's really a shame, because they start to think, oh, maybe it's rare to have a relationship like my parents if they had a good relationship. And if they didn't, you go, well, that figures. No wonder my parents split up, because all women want are this, 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 and this. And that's whatever this dude on World Star was talking about. they don't have good models of relationships. And so a lot of guys who are in the dating thing and struggling and trying to figure this out and Googling stuff like this and finding crap like that, they are being led astray by guys like that because that guy never figured it out, obviously, given his past and current relationship history, track record. So their model of relationships is now guided by that. And that's what's really a shame, because, you know, that poor girl, I said to you, I texted, I said, that poor girl, she doesn't deserve this. But that really, you know, upon reflection, was not about her at all.
Listen,
anybody could have called.
I need you to hear this.
Same or similar question, he would have reacted the same way. The advice was not tailored to her at all, from what I saw. It had everything to do with making the audience feel like, yeah, look at him tell her what's up and make her feel bad. That's what they wanted to see. They wanted to see her feel bad. They didn't want to see her get any help. That's just bullshit. That was the lie that they're telling themselves when they run that show.
Right.
You see that, right? You see what I'm saying? It was never about her. It was about them and the anger and frustration that they feel from rejections from when they were in the 6th grade. This is what I'm saying. Somebody commented when I said that all men need to do is lift up, squeeze their 2 sacks together, and then think, oh, I have all of the knowledge. But it's like a man thinks that just by the mere virtue of him being a man, that women are supposed to fall all over him. And when they don't, they're angry at the women because they're like, you should have been with me. And because you didn't give me a chance when I was 12, now I'm angry. And it's like, nobody has to give you a chance. Go out there and find a person who is right for you. You're not for everybody. I think I'm just going to play just a few more parts for you all because you got the general gist of the video where he talks about, does a good guy behave like Kevin? And he talks about what this girl may need therapy with. So let's I want you all to hear that.
On that, does that sound like it was a healthy relationship? Does that sound like a good guy who abandons a baby kid?
All right. So he talks about here.
Men like this to
humiliate. Self-esteem issue. Guaranteed she had a bad relationship with one parent, probably the father, possibly abusive in the past, possibly dealt with an abusive ex. I don't know what you said she has a father of her son that she doesn't see or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get any details on that. Does that sound like it was a healthy relationship? Does that sound like a good guy who abandons a boy and says, let your mom raise you because I don't give a shit? No. So that's the type of man that she is used to being around. So he was right about one thing. She probably does need therapy because she needs to look and find the pattern that would even suggest that looking to a guy like that for advice was a good idea.
You hear this?
And every woman that thinks about calling into that show, I would say the same thing. You need to figure out why you think a guy like that is somebody you should be listening to.
We're going to jump forward again, and we're going to get to the part where he starts talking about dress size and how does dress size make a person a better mate or not.
I would say, like, to get into the line of sight, it's about who you know, which is networking, and it's not an impossible code to crack. I mean, a lot of my friends meet women, of course, on apps all the time. My brother-in-law, who's single and is an engineer, he meets women on apps all the time, you know, that are like hairstylists, and he's not like, well, she's a hairstylist. He's like, yeah, she's cool and cute and fun, and we have a good time, and she's smart. You know, like, that's what people are looking for. I think there's a lot of overthinking about how you're not good enough. Like when that guy said, what dress size are you? She's like size 3. First of all, you can tell that she's not morbidly obese by just looking at that section of the video. So what does it matter if she says size 5 or I don't even know dress sizes, first of all. But I had to ask you about this. People are not thinking that hard about this, but I think people who are insecure about it, right? Like that woman, she is very much concerned with that. And I think people are concerned about the wrong things, right? Like if you're taking a class on Italian cooking because you like to cook, you're going to meet people there that are interested in that same thing. They're not going to go, yeah, but where did you get your degree? And are you a size 3? Like people are not thinking about all of these minutia, right? They're just not. It's like I said, the attraction thing is a binary switch, you know, and once you get into friend circles that have one or more high earners, you are now in that social circle. Everyone you meet is going to be in that social circle. I don't even know if I have that many friends that don't earn multiple 6 figures or 7 figures. And it's not because I'm like, wait, does that guy make money? Okay, cool. He can come over. It's just because through association, that's who I meet.
And you know what? And I'm happy he said this. I just wanted to speak on that really quickly, because after Crystalline did this video, I started looking through I wanted to bring someone forward to speak with you all so that you all can get a sense of what real life men who make over 6 figures or who are millionaires really think about this. But when I was scrolling through my own list of contacts, most of them are not public people. Well, none of them are public people. They're just private people. So they didn't want to talk about what they're doing and speak on this on public, especially since YouTube is so big, etc. And I realized that in my own circle of friends, that you don't qualify whether a person can be your friend or not based on how much money they have. You're not like, oh, yeah, you can have my number because you're making 6 figures. No, it's like you meet people, you have things in common, you talk, you vibe well, and you don't think about how much money it is that they have. It's not, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's really about the person. And if you are qualifying people and whether or not they can be your friend or be in your life or have capacity for you to treat them a certain way because of what it is that they have, how it is that they look, what it is that they can do for you, then those are issues that you have. Oh, I want you to hear how he talks about that is not a real definition. That's not a real look of how real high value people behave. Let's go forward. That is going to be it's going to be in 1 more minute. So we could just play this out.
But I also realized that a lot of my friends, they'll bring a girl over and I'll go, oh, nice to meet you. Maybe younger friends. And I'll go, what do you do? And she'll go, oh, I'm a student at Stanford. And I go, oh, okay. You're earning negative $120,000. Right? No, you're negative money. None of us are going, ugh, she's got student loans. There's potential earnings there. And now this person's a PhD. There's also people that are hairstylists. And we're not thinking, oh, she's the hairstylist. Don't say anything complicated around her. She's not going to be here for long. Nobody is thinking about this. Nobody. So you really do need to put yourself in those circles and you will meet the type of people that you think you're entitled to meet. Now, the problem is I guarantee you that a lot of these women are on these sort of like dating apps where they meet guys like that, lit by a candle, wearing a suit. And they're like, this is how I signal high value. I wear expensive looking things. Look, I've got a wooden deck.
Listen, I need you all to hear this again. I need you to hear this again. I'm going to rewind that because when you start navigating through the circles, you realize that the people who are moving and shaking, they walk among us. Like there are really small, fine things that you can do to really tell who has money and who doesn't have money. And Chris, maybe we can talk about that because I remember when I worked at the Gold Club in Atlanta when I was right out of college. It had always been a dream of mine to work at a high-end gentleman's club, right? And when I was there, they would give us lessons on how to peep who really has money, because there are people who come through. Like if a person doesn't have a jersey on, you don't know if they're a ball player. You know what I mean? If a person doesn't have their attaché case and their business cards handing out, you don't know whether or not they're a high-powered attorney. But there are things that you can look for. And whether or not a person has on some Men's Warehouse suit, whether or not a person went down to off the rack at what is that off the rack? Is it after Fifth Avenue? What is the name of that store? the outlet one. Because a person is able to get a suit and get some needle and thread and pull it in on the sides while they stand there with their man purse draped across their décolleté. It's like, come on, it takes more than just that. It's like he's giving out these faux outward signs of what wealth looks like. And so people, they notice, they see that as the uniform of the wealthy. But the wealthy who put on this uniform, they put on this uniform for business meetings or other things where there are people who are going to be looking at the uniform. You know what I'm saying? I need you all to hear that again. Do you know what I'm saying? If you know what I'm saying, go ahead and put up your number 4. Throw those 4s up if you know what I'm saying while I cue back up that part of the video where he's talking about the faux cues of high value. Let's just listen to that again.
Now, the problem is, I guarantee you that a lot of these women are on these sort of like dating apps where they meet guys like that, lit by a candle, wearing a suit, and they're like, this is how I signal high value. I wear expensive looking things. Look, I've got a wooden desk. I'm wealthy. They're like cartoon character high value men where they're not really high value men, right? They're like when people think of a rich guy, they think like, oh, he's got to dress in suits and wear real power ties. That's not. I live in Silicon Valley. Rich guys wear like rabbit fur hoodies and ripped jeans and like Dockers and shit. You know, like that. They're not walking around in suits. And even when I worked on Wall Street, the guys that wore suits, we were like, oh, he's got a client meeting today. I didn't even go to work in a suit. I didn't even go to work in a tie. And I worked at a freaking white shoe law firm on Wall Street. It's a myth. And so people look at these myths and they see these signals and they're the wrong signals. They're fake. It's fantasy land.
Love this broadcast so much because there's so many jewels in there. We're going to jump forward into, oh, this part I really want you to hear. Where Jordan, and this will be the last one, and then I'm going to see if Pink Pill wants to come on after and just give us an update on how Black women have been responding to this, how Black men have been responding, how have white people responded, both male and female, to this particular video. I want to hear your thoughts on that. So Chris, let me know if you want to come on. If not, then let me know that too, and we'll just continue going forward, because I know when I saw somebody reviewing my video, I was like, I gotta add something right now, I gotta add. So I was like, so it was a whole different story, but let me know. So I want you all to hear this part where he talks about his wife and where his life would be in terms of earning if he wasn't with his particular wife and the value that she brings in. So let's go to that part.
Like, I can't imagine anybody actually wanting like you said, a pretty little doll that doesn't do anything. Cause I'm like, first of all, I'd be earning much less money without her. So that would be a huge problem. I wouldn't be able to manage anything like I am without her. Like she's literally responsible for the success that we have. To have somebody who just sits around all day or like goes to the gym for 5 hours and then gets nails done and looks good, I can't imagine a bigger waste of oxygen in my house. And I don't know any guy that isn't like a Hollywood type of guy. I don't know any guy who's successful that just wants a wife who's a trophy. That they're the guys that I'm looking for are like, no, you know, they're not like, oh, I want somebody who's 10 years younger than my current model. Like, that's ridiculous. And that's, again, a cartoon character of a wealthy person. Maybe.
Okay. And you know what? We're going to stop right there. And I'm going to encourage all of you to go over to the Pink Pill's channel and watch the whole video. There's so many nuggets in there, and she gives the background on their relationship, what qualifies him to speak on this. And it's a great video. It goes by really quickly when you just dive right into it. So I'm going to pull up some of your comments. Sin is saying we wouldn't need a high value white man telling us the truth if it weren't for a low value Black man feeding us lies. Can everybody give a round of applause for that? Because if that ain't the truth, I don't know what is. Kika is saying in the 80s, that was the case when it came to wealth. It has changed. It's Skechers, shoes, Rolex watches, and Range Rover. Listen. Amber saying kitten heels is hood rich which ain't real wealth. Look, it's deep out there. I'm gonna play a little bit of a video for you all, which was on the Young Turks a few years ago, where they talked about wealthy men and what wealthy men are looking for. So I just wanted to just come on the tail end of this and just play that for you. And this was sent to me by a person by the name of Ori. So thank you, Ori, for sending this to me so that I could share this with other people. Go ahead and like the video. We have 1,200 people on the broadcast right now. So go ahead and give those thumbs up. Share this video with anybody that you feel needs to see it. Make sure that you give your props and your clicks to Crystalline from the Pink Pill. Throw those pinkies up and tap them on the keyboard to hit the like button, watch her video, and just keep the knowledge rolling, because there's still some people in here. There's still some people in here who are trying to lambast this man for coming and giving us knowledge. So here, let me find this video for you all real quick.
They asked the millionaire men whether they would like to date another millionaire woman, and the vast majority of them said no. 79.6% say that they look for non-millionaire women because they want to share their wealth with a woman. They like the idea of taking care of a woman. However, when you go to female millionaires, that just kind of flips. 84.5% would prefer to date another millionaire. And the reason for that is because the female millionaires are a little more protective of their money. They're also more likely to demand that their significant other signs a prenup prior to marriage, whereas the men are just kind of like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's 17%, which is very low.
Yeah. All right. So that was the part that I just wanted you all to see. That's it. That women who make more money are more interested in being with men who have money. Men who have money don't really consider a woman's money to determine whether or not that's somebody that they want to be with. This is something that's important to women, and it actually helps the relationship be better, because for many different reasons. Because as a woman, when you know that you're able to be taken care of, it allows you to be able to rest in your femininity and to let your femininity grow and soar. So we're going to pull Crystalline up on the line right now. She's going to add some things. The comments have been going so quickly that I haven't been able to keep up with all of them. One of the things that I'm really confused about, that I would love for Crystalline to come in and give her point of view on, is why are there so many Black women who are against what it is that Jordan was saying? Why do we self-sabotage in this way? I can understand why Black men are angry, because they're like, oh, my supply of big Black booty is going to be taken away from me. Big Black non-committal booty that I could just poke in and out of at my leisure. But why are Black women against a non-Black man who is married and has children and who is showing up in his wife's life? Why are they upset about taking compliments, upliftment, the knowledge from him? I'm confused by that.
Thank you. I have some commentary, but I want to, I'm not sure how if you want me to just start free flowing.
Thank you for watching. Make sure that you thumbs up the video, make sure that you subscribe, and hit the bell notifications to be notified of new videos. Leave a comment below, share the video, and come over to TanyaTKO.com to subscribe to my personal mailing list and drop me a message of a viral story that you'd like for me to cover. See you on the other side. Peace.